think they can, as long as everybody is open and transparent. They have to start building up trust within the victims and survivors community. That trust has been severely damaged over the past number of years. But I think that they can. I always would have hope. Well, as I've already mentioned, they need to have trust in the actual process. They need to be treated with respect, and I would feel that they need to be acknowledged that what happened to them was completely wrong, that nobody had a right to take a human life, and for many of them, they want to have justice and truth, and I believe the two go together. Well, personally, I believe that an acknowledgement from those political parties who supported organisations that murdered, and that, that includes the British government as well, for what things that the army perhaps did. I think that if they acknowledged that what happened was completely wrong, that they acknowledged that they had no right to take a human life, and that they just didn't justify it, because also often victims, when they talk about what happened to their loved ones, you'll have a politician say, yes, but we all suffered, and what about? And we need to scrap that what about and just acknowledge that murder was wrong. Nobody had the right to take anyone's human life. They were fathers, brothers, sisters, daughters, and they all belonged to somebody and were loved by somebody. And I think that would start to help build up a trust.
For me, the most important thing is that of the 5 options that have been put forward, it is going to be really important that none is given more priority or higher priority over any other. Some victims will be happy to have the opportunity to tell their story. Others will want to go to a historical inquiries unit, and others will want something different. Each victim's needs must be individually catered for within the 5 options that are there, and provided that is the case, then we will have a much better outcome for victims and survivors. They need people who will treat them with dignity and with respect. They need people in our society, many of whom have walked on from this issue, conveniently drawn a line in the sand and said, let's not talk about it. Victims and survivors need to know that those individuals will not ignore them, will include them, and will make sure that whatever is built for the future is built on the shoulders of those who have suffered so much, contributed so much to the peace process that we have at the moment, and that needs to be honoured and valued for the future. It's very hard to move beyond the issue of pensions, because we have quite a few people who are older and who are not going to be with us for very much longer. So that's immediately an issue that you would want to see addressed quickly and effectively, and I hope that certainly is the case. But there is going to be, above that and beyond that, there's going to be a need for services to victims and survivors, not for a few years, but for a generation and perhaps longer. So what we need is that our Assembly will commit to supporting victims and survivors over the longer term, because the problems and the difficulties that victims and survivors are dealing with are going to be with us for a long time to come.